All right, I got 5 there. Here, Rick, you want us to lead us in the pledge?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, sir. Roll call.
Mark Serbrook,
Present.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Jenny David.
Here.
Craig Scott.
Here.
Charles Wiltie.
Here.
We got some changes to the agenda. We are adding on, we're gonna make D, FMLA leave. We are gonna make 8 a closed session. We are gonna make 9 adjourn. Any other additions or corrections?
Yeah, I'd like to take C off. 5C, we've already done this.
Okay, support for public right of way of preservation. Tim, how do we go about that?
Well, it's up to you to approve the agenda, so they would take a motion to amend or to approve an agenda as amended, just like you would normally do, and if the board were agreeable to taking something off, that would then be off.
So we are, if we have a motion, we just need support and then a vote.
Right.
We have a motion on the floor. Is there support?
Full support.
We have a motion with support from Commissioner Scott. Any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mark Serbrook,
No.
Roger Mayhew,
Yes.
Jenny Davis.
Yes.
Craig Scott,
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
No.
So that will be removed. Any other additions or corrections?
Madam Chair, can you add an appointment B for the sheriff here and use animal control?
Oh, yes. D, you said,
B under appointments. Or
oh, B, I'm sorry.
just a quick.
Yeah, sheriff, animal control. I'm assuming, okay. Absolutely. Any other additions or corrections? There'll be time for public comment. Any other additions or corrections? All in favor? Oh, we don't have to vote on that. Now we do. All in favor, say aye. Opposed, motion carries. Public comment, there is a public comment and agenda items only. The rules for public comment. Speak only, I don't have them directly in front of me. Speak only the chairperson, you're gonna be given 3 minutes. You gotta follow the direction of the chairperson, so there is time for public comment. Public comment now? Anybody in the room?
I'd like to just say a couple of words.
Come on up, sir. This is typically on agenda items. Is this something on our agenda?
Pardon?
Is this something on our agenda?
I believe it is.
Okay, come on up. Come on up. State your name for the record.
Randy Short,
Hi, you have 3
resident of
minutes.
Foster Township.
Go ahead.
I'm assuming that you have something on your agenda that has to do with non-maintained road right-of-ways? Is that correct?
That was just removed from the agenda.
Pardon?
That was just removed from the agenda.
So it's not on the
Nope.
agenda?
So this is your time to speak your piece. You have 3 minutes.
Okay. As a resident of Ogemaw County, I think it would be a shame that if we would lose any kind of public road right-of-ways. We have 2 private landowners. They are not residents of the county. They bought land on a right-of-way that has existed, in my estimation, since the law went into effect in 1909. Since they have bought the land, now they want to shut it down. The road commission has filed suit on them, and I think that we all owe it to the road commission to be in full support of their endeavor to keep private landowners from shutting down public roads or road right-of-ways. Any questions?
Nope, this is public comment. It's only your opportunity to talk. We don't respond.
Okay, I appreciate the opportunity. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. Any other public comment? Any public comment on the phone? Item 4, appointments. Mike Bowers, Emergency Management Coordinator, Cam Radio, Power Equipment. Hi,
How are you all tonight?
good.
Good. So the paper's right there. For me to possible get a signature from you. This is the subrecipient agreement. It's annual renewal that we do every year. I usually just bring it to you, but I was coming here tonight, so. But I'm here tonight for the purchase, 100% refund, reimbursed grant. It's $12,427.96. It's for repeaters and antennas to go up on the tower there at Pointer Hill. For the auxiliary communications and the emergency operations center to, some of it is to replace older outdated equipment and some of the others actually to advance our capabilities. So it's kind of a combination of replacing old stuff and increasing capabilities. Reimbursement is expected in 90 to 120 days, as normal. The state is just now ending a pause on reimbursements. That pause on reimbursements was due to the influx of the ARPA money. So many of the jurisdictions are turning in for their ARPA reimbursements, and the state legislature has a cap on how much they can reimburse during any period of time. So there's a little bit of a backlog because of all the ARPA that's been going through. But they're expecting the grant reimbursements to get back to normal here really soon. So I would expect 90 to 100 days on this one. And then I just got this back. I've been working on a grant for GPS, handheld GPSs. There's 6 of them. This is a regional, and it's primarily for our volunteers. Although that, we may end up finding a use for it in fire, EMS, and police force. It would definitely be available to them. It's 100% reimbursed grant, also 90 to 120 days. And it's $1,979.70. So.
Tim, do we have to put this on for next week for, to go to vote, correct?
You're right, and both.
I will.
Okay, perfect.
I'll send them to you. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mike.
Anything for me?
Oh,
You guys are all good? Fantastic.
doing well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your
You
work.
guys have a great night.
Thank you.
Item 4B, Sheriff Animal Control.
Well, I had another chair up here. Mike.
Who's got it?
Chair.
I'm gonna introduce you Bob here, and I'll let him, he's our new animal control officer that we just hired here last week. Let him introduce himself to you and give a little
Good evening,
background.
commissioners. How are you doing today?
Good evening.
Thank you.
Great. My name is Bob Forsythe, and I'm really blessed and privileged to be able to serve this community as your new animal control officer. I've got 11 and a half years of animal control or of law enforcement experience, and just as much experience in management and leadership as well. So I could go on forever, but do you have any? I'd rather leave it open to you for you to have any questions for me.
Questions? Commissioner Scott?
Well, I saw the newspaper article and everything, and I've heard good things.
Great.
Heard a lot of good things.
Good.
So I'm looking forward to it.
Great.
Be in training right now. So.
Commissioner Wiltie?
Welcome. Thank you.
Commissioner Serbrook?
Welcome aboard.
Thank
Are
you.
you still certified?
I am not. No, I let my
Okay.
goals expire. Yeah.
Commissioner Mayhew?
When can they call you?
I'm hoping in a couple weeks. I still have 70 hours of
Okay.
training to
I was
complete.
told last week it would be this week. So that's what I told people, but it'll be a week further.
A little more training.
Remote training, yeah.
And you're partnering with near counties for the training. I read the emails that the undersheriff's been sending us.
Correct. Yep. Yep, I did a ride along with Iosco County. I'll get a ride along with Gladwin, Claire, and then I need to go to a jurisdiction that's completely different than ours. So I'll probably go to Genesee County for that one.
Now, you live in the area?
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Have you ever it sounds like you have a lot of background there. Have you did the animal aspect before? Like, is this the first time at the animal control?
This is my first time with, yes, in that type of enforcement with the laws and things. But I've had over 200 hours with animal experience with, I did an internship at Shiloh Canine training. I've completed a shelter training course And for the last 2.5 years, I've been a volunteer / employee at the Ray Family Animal Shelter. So I've had a lot of hours experiencing
Good.
and handling
You have good rapport there.
animals. Excellent.
Fantastic.
Good, really good feedback.
Fantastic. Well, welcome aboard. Welcome to the team.
Thank you.
And thanks for bringing them in, Sheriff. Anything else, Sheriff?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a great evening.
And thanks for the updates, Mr. Sheriff. The emails that you sent, they're fairly lengthy, but they're good. Item 5, discussion items. 5A bid openings. We have a couple of them. We have one project, 25-12 jail meals.
Unfortunately, there were no responses. This was an RFP that was directly mailed to 14 providers within the community, and was also advertised in the Herald, and no responses whatsoever. So consistent with our policy and with our past practice, it would be appropriate then, probably the undersheriff would take on the task of getting a hold of who's been providing the meals so far, and let's talk about a longer term arrangement, maybe a year, whatever, the undersheriff desires, and no reason to break with that provider. Sheriff, I've been satisfied with the service, and if there's no other interest.
Sheriff, can you come up? Can you give us an update? Because I have no idea what's going on with the meals. The last I knew was,
Yeah, nothing has changed, nothing other than the RFPs going out to the 14, and not getting any responses. And that's on top of what I had already done. So we have one current restaurant in the area that has stepped up and is providing meals to the order. I still have not followed up with Commission on Aging.
that was my question.
Yeah, I still have not followed through on conversation, if that's even a possibility. I don't know. With everything else I've got in the air, I just haven't got to that. And the prices still haven't been too bad as far as what we spent so far. So.
You're on the Commission on Aging board, correct?
Yep.
Has it been brought up at the meetings?
Yes, but they don't know the technical deals onto this before they get their food and if they can do this or what, but they know about it and they're talking about it, but I don't.
When's the next meeting?
Right, know if they can do that or not, you know what I'm saying?
Well, that was my concern, but when's the next meeting?
It's in the morning, I think it's a Wednesday, but I'll get a hold of you.
Get a hold of me and maybe we can facilitate at least a conversation. If you're on the board, let's do it that way.
I will. But they know.
Okay.
So there'll be more to come on that. Did that restaurant didn't put in an RFP? The restaurant that we're currently utilizing? Didn't put in any type of RFP? No.
Didn't put in one.
Questions, commissioners, for Sheriff, Undersheriff on this?
Are they still, Paul, are they still, as far as you know, willing to provide the meals as they have in the past, or
They are still providing meals.
are they willing to in the future, though, is my
They
question.
are willing to maintain a relationship as it currently is. The delivery has been an issue with their staffing levels. But they're willing to maintain the relationship as it currently is with the pricing that they're currently charging us. So the big question would be that Commission on Aging how does that fit into it? So nobody else responded.
Project 25-13 Sheriff's Office partition wall.
Fortunately, we did receive one bid from Miller Construction. I brought my handy opener this time, so I don't have to struggle.
For some reason, I thought this was already taken care of. I thought it was a fairly simple.
About it a couple of times. Brian Stein was able to get some quotes, but the quotes came in above what you could do
Okay.
the job with. So we need to send out the RFP. And this, does it to be a complete RFP, $13,174 to do the full job. There are no substitutions. And so with your authorization, I will put it on the agenda for next Thursday for approval.
Where will this money come from?
This will come from, because it's primarily a road patrol type function, it would come out of that fund. unless you prefer, come from a different fund.
How's that a road patrol function?
It's a room that's occupied by our road patrol personnel, and they wanted the partition wall for privacy, I guess. Yeah, for.
You guys are on the law enforcement.
Question.
Go ahead.
Does that include then the electrical, flooring?
Yeah, so removal of part of an existing wall, installing the partition itself, replacing ceiling tiles, vinyl flooring to replace existing flooring, and then all the necessary electrical work.
Commissioner Scott?
No, once again, I'm just, you know, I'm surprised Jack Morris isn't the only bid, you know. I'm glad to see somebody else bid, but it'd be nice if we had competitive bids, but then again, nobody seems to want to do that, so. I'm fine.
Commissioner Mayhew?
Good.
Commissioner Serbrook?
I am fine with it.
Did you guys have an opportunity? Oh,
I was peering over Tim's and looking at it when Charlie was asking questions about what was included, so. You know, the electrical, the data line boxes and everything, so.
The quotes we have,
Reconfigure the office for area lighting, so I mean, it's comprehensive.
the quotes that that Brian Stein was able to provide were pretty detailed. So when the RFP went out, we were able to give them some, I think, better than usual detail on what we needed. So I'm pretty confident that's going to satisfy what we need to have done for that wall, and in taking into consideration, you know, the current room, so it doesn't stand out as a, you know, an add-on of some kind. It will blend in well.
is this wall permanent? I guess I mean,
It would be permanent once it got moved over. Basically, you're taking a closet and you're moving a wall over, creating office space.
so it's not changing the actual setup. I mean,
It gives us an extra office is what it does.
okay. I need to walk over there one of these days and see what's all been. Yeah, because I remember when we were originally talking about this, it did, for some reason, like a little over 5,000 was sticking in my head. I don't, but maybe it wasn't that extensive. I don't know, I guess.
Yeah.
Did you guys have an opportunity to look at the bid? I guess no, we just
So he
opened
just
it.
opened it.
What? Hello?
The RFP.
Brought his opener with.
Stop it. What I meant is what was all wanted there.
Yeah, I assume you saw the quote that Brian was able to provide.
Yeah, I looked at it briefly, but yeah, it was.
I mean, that's all that the RFP
Okay.
had in it, other than our usual insurance requirements and everything else.
This is something you guys want? Okay, then might as well put it on for Thursday. Item B, transfer live scan station to clerk's office.
Okay, we got, you know, Paul's here to help
Come on up, Paul.
facilitate the discussion. You know, this was put on the agenda as a transfer of that live scan station. I'll let the undersheriff talk about the reason why they need the two stations over at the sheriff's office and jail. And then we can talk about, you know, other possibilities. The clerk was pretty active in pulling together not only information about another fingerprinting system, but contacting colleagues across the state and discovering that most of her colleagues actually do fingerprinting in their office for, you know, some of the work that they do. So we can talk about that next, but maybe Paul could get into the reasons, the plan that he put forward to you in an email, but also the rationale for having the two stations over there as opposed to transferring one over here.
Paul, you have the floor.
Thanks.
This is one of those emails I was talking about.
Well, it's been a work in progress. I went up and got trained myself as far as fingerprinting on a live scan and that type of thing to see what we're doing with that type. So it's been something that's been a part of this whole transition. We talked about originally, and I don't know how many were privy to some of the conversation of moving that second one right out of the gate after October 1st over here. We talked with Tim and we were looking at the logistics of doing that. Where that broke down is the day of the court order. So on court order days, the judge can send over, whether it's a juvenile, whether it's for fingerprints to be taken on inmates that are not actually inmates of the facility or on our books. There was some concerns about staff in this building doing that, being exposed to those type of people. So it kind of broke down. So that's the reason why we kept that second one in the office and set it up out front. So that we can facilitate, especially juveniles. And we can't bring in but non-inmates back into intake. We only have the one correction officer anyway. So like today, we had an incident where a fingerprint came in last minute that we weren't expecting type of thing, and we had to scramble, and a bailiff had to come over from here, from juvenile court, to be a second person in order to accomplish the fingerprinting. So unless that second instrument could take on the task of court ordered, we need both the one in intake for when we're intaking prisoners, and then the other one out front for days of court ordered juveniles especially. So you have to have sight and sound separation. So that brings us to this point of the conversation. I know I'm not gonna speak for Breck, but Breck was talking about adding a third instrument in her office to facilitate the CPLs and everything. There'd be benefits to that. It would be available Monday through Friday. One of her staff could do it at a walk-in when they're doing the CPL type of thing. I don't know. I was looking at the quote. It's roughly, in talking to Breck the last 3 days, it's roughly 7,000 for the initial setup and setting it up. So I did some research on what we're currently paying. So we have the two live scans. So we're paying invoices of $4,495 a year and $3,495 a year. That's for instrument 1 in the intake and instrument 2 that's out front. The number 2 is split as far as jail cost and the clerk's office, which they take it out of CPL. So it's split at $1747.50 is what's split on that. The first one, the 4495, comes straight out of the jail budget. That's for the one that's in intake. I went back and looked at the other invoices. You know, the original one in intake was set up 9/15/04. It was upgraded in 12, and then we pay yearly. This is a yearly invoice that we get in August and September for the services. The second one was set up in 18. That's when it started getting split with the CPL, and that's when the fingerprinting at the jail expanded. Firsthand knowledge, but knowing that they were doing other fingerprints over there, CPL and applicants and that type of thing. The history. In 2011, there was 15,000 that was paid towards the live scan. I think it was part of the initial setup, is what I'm assuming. In 18, there were two $7,772 bills paid. That coincides with what I'm seeing on these current invoices of the upgrades that happened to both the instruments, the palms and fingerprints and whatever capabilities they have. That's what I'm assuming. I didn't actually pull up the invoices to read them. I just went on to where we paid them. So then I went through 23 and 22 to see the history, and both 23 and 22 correspond with the current ones that I just described you as the two bills, the 4495 and the 3495. So that reflects again the 3395 being. So I guess the question that you have to ask and pose in this kind, I mean, it would be convenient to have it over there. What I detailed in the email is I've got to the point now where I'm comfortable and expanding to where I'm going to have an appointment day on Wednesdays from noon to 4, where I'm just going to know that that's going to be my task that day in 15-minute increments for clients, for community members to come in and get fingerprints done. Starting primarily with the CPL, I've done a couple applicants. The biggest thing, once you get used to the system, it's not very difficult. It's very automated as far as picking up it's just, you got to make sure that you got the right information entered so that it gets sent to the right locations, whether it's the state or wherever it gets sent. And if you mess that up, that's where you start getting phone calls and that type of stuff. Comes along with training. Obviously, my training has come through what correction officers we have left. And that's where we're at. It would be convenient for them to have a third one, but you're talking 7,000, where that money comes from, I guess would be part of what you would discuss. I know she talked about taking some of that out of the CPL fund. Any questions? I could try to help clarify what I just presented. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, and
Tim, do you have something?
Yes, if I heard you right, you said one of those machines is already partially funded with CPL?
correct.
Okay.
Yeah, that was paid. So that one, and I caught it when I was doing the research today. That one renews from 9/1 of 24 to 8/31 of 25. So that would have came, this invoice would have came in before the layoffs occurred. So our employee administrative at the jail was the one that coded this, and that's how I caught it. So that one is split, which tells me that's number 2, which is out in our
Okay.
lobby.
Well, then the bottom line is one way or another, you know, if you got a third one and you were gonna fund that with CPL, you certainly wouldn't fund half of that one with CPL. So that would be a general fund commitment to make up that balance.
That's what Breck and I talked about today, then that 34.95 would come back to the jail budget in full. So we would technically be paying that was $8,500 total out of the jail budget for those 2 instruments, and then funding the third one with CPL and whatever revenue, other sources of money you would have, so.
Comments, Commissioner Serbrook?
Prior to getting the second machine, there was a private company that we sent people to get fingerprinted. We did not provide fingerprinting for CPL, liquor licensing, or anything else. You know, when Paul's willing to take and do, you know, dedicate a certain period of time to it, I think that that's a great idea. I don't see a need for one in the clerk's office. If that, you know, if you can facilitate that, I don't see a need for it, frankly.
Commissioner Mayhew?
I believe it's correct.
Commissioner Scott?
Yeah, I go along with these guys, but, have you talked to the courts that this will now suffice their demands or their needs?
Yeah, the courts are gonna get done. We have to facilitate the court orders when they come over. This is expanding it now to be able to do the CPLs
Okay.
that were being sent other places. So the clerk's office, we're getting a lot of complaints from people doing the applications, asking where the fingerprints were, and we would have to send them to the private company or a neighboring county
Okay.
to facilitate fingerprints.
Okay.
What this trial thing is going to do is at least provide us 1 day a week of scheduling. Like I say, it would be convenient to have it 5 days a week, but the caveat would be if they can take on district court fingerprints too, then all that stuff happens over here. But I don't think that's happened.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're trying to come up with a happy medium. So I'm good with either way, any of the different options. It can work. I don't really have a preference. I mean,
I'm good with trying to pilot.
Commissioner Wiltie?
When we originally started talking about this, wasn't there a concern from the clerk's office regarding safety?
that's what I was discussing, why it broke down when we were talking originally, because it's starting on October 1st, we were talking about. And Tim was part of, at least initially part of the conversation, where to put that second instrument in this building and having all those other fingerprints done, especially the court order. And it was a safety issue being exposed to the clientele that is subject to a court ordered fingerprint. That would be a concern for employees over here to have to encounter or deal with.
Is this something like weekly, we're getting calls with people not happy about the fact they can't get fingerprinted 5 days a week? Is this something that's every couple weeks? Is it?
I would say we do a lot of CPLs. I would say on a daily basis, we're getting people who complain that they have to go to another county. I get it. They think they're used to it. They're used to they can come here and do their renewal, or people have told them they can come and get their new one, get their fingerprints done. So giving them, and we don't have necessarily like a lot of information. We just tell them you can go to Gladwin. We know Gladwin will do it. We don't have a lot of contact with the other jails. So we don't have like an option to say, well, if you go here, this is the days they do it. Whereas when it was done, you know, at our jail, we could just say, these are the days they do it. Here's a phone number to call. So yeah, we get a couple people a week, usually sometimes a couple people a day who are annoyed about it. I do know that we had discussed before this even came up that we would be okay doing it. It's not like it would be a hard task, like to add on to what we're already doing. I know Breck, she would really like it because I know there's other When she spoke with the other clerks from the other counties and stuff, they have it and you can charge, like, it's like $60 to $100 for other fingerprints that we could be doing. So I know that we aren't necessarily like a bigger county, but there is an option to like possibly get more, have more income coming in from that. And we have like, a lot of us are in and out during the day doing different court things. We do have one clerk who is always there. She doesn't leave. So we would have someone who would be like the dedicated clerk to this type of thing. So they would always be doing the fingerprinting for the CPLs. So there has been like a lot of thought put into it, but it would be convenient for people to be able to get it done. But having a day a week where we could tell them to come over to the jail too it's an option, you know, whereas right now we don't really have an option for them.
Previously, it was 2 days a week that the schedule,
Yeah.
that they could call and schedule with the previous administrative assistant. So, and then the other fingerprints you're talking about, there is a fee schedule that's established in the budget fee schedule that talks about those, and it's split between the state and what comes back to the county. So there is some revenue. It's not really substantial. I don't know, would it support all three of these? It would be something I think that you would have to look at and discuss, but.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So with the new administrative assistant that you guys have, could we look in the possibility of having go back to 2 days a week?
That's why I call this a pilot program. I kind of wanted to
You're
see.
saying one right now.
Right now, we've got one, because I had to get her up to speed or look at different options. That type of thing to schedule. So again, my thought was to start with a pilot program, at least for a couple weeks, see how we fill it up, see what the demand is. If we need to expand it to day 2, the sheriff is dangerous enough now that he's gonna supplement me when I'm not doing it. And like I said, we'll reevaluate, like I said in the email, we'll reevaluate 2 or 3 weeks, depending on what the board and the clerk decide as far as funding and that type of stuff. Like I said, I'm good with any of the above options. It's just a matter of can we facilitate this with what we have to work with?
I think this is excellent. I mean, I don't agree with getting a third scanner at this point in time, especially with that cost. I appreciate you sending the email and letting us know that you're gonna have set hours. So you taking the lead on this, and then you guys can even do the fee schedule that you're talking about.
We adjusted that. I'm sorry.
Correct. No, I agree 100%. Let's do this. These set hours, they can let the clients know. If more is needed in the future, let us know. But that cost was surprising, $69.90 for just the machine itself, let alone the other costs on top of it. So.
We had this yearly, and that's why I kind of went back and looked at the history of it. You're gonna have a yearly invoice with that. And I talked to Breck a little bit. There's some kind of discount for multiple live scans, but I don't know what the substantial would be, and it's just gonna be another invoice for a yearly service.
Well, I think this is exactly what individuals were looking for, is a set time, date, and so they don't have to leave the county. So
And that's what we'll start with, and
we'll go from there.
back to it after a couple of weeks and see what happens, so.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Commissioner Scott?
What's it cost to, like, if, I don't have a CPL, but if I wanted to get one, what's it cost me to get my fingerprints taken?
It's 25 just for the fingerprints. That's set in statute. That's
Oh,
15.
is it? 15, 25, something like that.
It's 15 because we charge them $100 and they're supposed to be charged $15 to get their fingerprints done. And if you're doing a renewal, it's 115 total because so it's paying $115.
So even when you get a renewal, you gotta do the fingerprint?
No,
Not just
that's
the
why we charge you $115. You don't have to get your fingerprint done, so we take that 15.
Was that the administrative part of it?
115, I thought you said 25.
They were charging administrative, but 15, yes, is what's set in statute that you can't mess with.
Okay, so keep us updated if more is
So-
needed.
Now, do you have capability of credit card, take a credit card for payment? No?
No, that was one of the things with the jail before. We didn't keep petty cash over there. If you remember the discussions with the budget, we did make adjustments where the county portion was larger. It increased a little bit just to compensate type of thing, but it was all round numbers so that we didn't have to keep petty cash at the jail in order to make change. But we do not have any type of ability to take online credit
They
card.
can't do it through that kiosk machine that's over there? No?
No, that's all tied into the whole jail and court, and it's
Oh.
not, it doesn't have that. It doesn't translate.
Well, the way people pay nowadays, should we have capability to take a credit card?
Without question, that's obviously the direction society is going. So at some point, if we don't already do it, I mean, in any of our offices, the demand will be there to do it. And I can say I'm guilty of that too. Very rarely do I carry cash. No point in it. So yeah, something we definitely should be looking into
Well,
in our spare time.
much as I hate cashless, just make it one stream, the credit card, just. If you're gonna go over there, you get it, or are we billing people?
No, they're not billing people. It's communicated to them when they set up appointments, that it's cash only and exact change.
They know.
So
Oh,
they know going into it, that was what was established when they were doing it before. Again, the idea was to keep petty cash out of the jail, out of the administrative offices there. And it was just cash only. So that was communicated to it. All the advertisements in the lobby indicate that. And we, on several occasions, because we do the same with civil process. Civil process has fees that are associated with. Now, a lot of them are invoiced, but some of them have to pay when they come in and drop it off. PPOs are the prime example. They have to pay 50 when they drop it off to be served. They have to pay that $50 in cash. A lot of times we will send them to the bank in order to collect their, come back and give us $50. So
okay.
it's a little inconvenient, but
Tim, did you have
Yeah,
something?
we can ask the treasurer to look into this. It should
Okay.
be very appropriate. And there are certain rules that we have to follow as government when we set it up, but others are doing it. So I know it's possible. And I think that would be the perfect person to check into
Do I
it.
take away a step of having to bring the money over to the county building?
correct.
You
I mean,
know, take that
make
step away.
deposits anyway, but it would lessen it up into a credit card type of. I don't know
Right.
what the hoops are that you jump through for that, but
More to come on that.
yeah.
Perfect. FMLA lead. You have the floor. I just was reading an email.
We got two on that leave right now, so that brings our numbers down to 3, and by next week, we're gonna be down to 2 correction officers, so we got a huge problem.
What,
We got,
2 on FMLA. What's the third one? You just said we're,
the third one will be on vacation. So that's the numbers that were dealt with. 2 to run that lockup, which is gonna be impossible.
so what are your solutions?
Well, we're gonna have to subsidize our road patrol to fill in the gaps, to make the transports, we have to function, we have to go, we have to get it done. One way or another, we have to get it done.
Tim, what is your,
This is a sheriff's call, and what the sheriff just mentioned is not uncommon
What's the
across the
noise?
state, checking the
alarm?
secure
Oh,
doors.
okay.
This is not an uncommon practice at least in Michigan, where you supplement when you need somebody to fill in like this, you supplement with your deputies. Now, just talking with the sheriff and undersheriff just ahead of the meeting, that's going to mean a little bit more in terms of the acrobatics they do to make sure that the shift that's being pulled is charged to the right department. Obviously, we're not using road patrol funds to do any coverage for the jail. That will come out of 351. That's easy. I mean, it's just a matter of clicking on the right icon on the timesheet and it's done. The real critical issue is the staffing part itself. And having learned of this just ahead of the meeting, I haven't even had time to process it myself to offer any suggestion. I will point out that if any additional funds are needed, when you see the audit report next month, you're going to see a fund balance in the commissary fund of a little over 44,000. So there is a resource there to turn to if we have additional expenses to make sure we have our coverage. Long term, that's another discussion. We talked about some other options that we haven't yet had any real solution to that, but at least there's discussion going on. But in the short term, it's just a matter of getting in the bodies to fill in the gaps. I don't know if you have any other former correction officers that we have on layoff that are interested. You do have the obstacle there, unfortunately, of the hourly rate that you pay for part-timers, substantially less than the full-time officers make. So that's not real attractive. That's a contract issue. We maybe get a letter of understanding with the union, maybe not, about making adjustments there. We could certainly pursue that in the short term. But right now, it's just a matter of getting the bodies, and that's, the critical need.
Commissioner Wiltie, did you have something?
Being on the law enforcement board, I knew we were gonna have some challenges coming up. We knew we had a vacation that's been scheduled for a long, long time. Now both of these FMLA leaves are unexpected. None of them it's not
Second,
scheduled.
we talked about the first one. That was the one that we talked about going into. The second one is new and is an unanticipated situation that we are now faced with and having to try to address.
So Tim said in the short run, we could, because I do understand the fact that the part-timers significant less amount of pay. I know it's something we had talked about a couple weeks ago at our law enforcement meeting. Tim, that's something that you could obviously, like you said, speed up and see if we could get some form of agreement where.
Yeah, so long as the sheriff and the union are agreeable, I don't think the sheriff will have any issue with it. It's gonna come down to whether the union would agree to do that. Now, what would be the logic for the union to say no to increased pay? I don't know, but we would be obligated to at least address it. So I'm willing to pick that up and see what we can get.
Just one more thing. We know for a long period of time now, we've had an issue with trying to keep our road patrol coverage at 24/7. So now we're shorthanded in the jail. Therefore, it's gonna pull more road patrol off the streets, therefore less coverage, less protection for our residents. Do we look into the option of an emergency situation where the 24-hour jail gets dropped down and someone gets, state police pulls over someone or arrests someone's in Ogemaw County, they directly go to Gladwin. West Branch pulls somebody over or whatever, takes them to jail to Gladwin. Is that something we have to look into possibly as well?
Logically, I mean, that would be something we'd look into. Whether we can legally do it or not, we'll get to do some research to know for sure. And I don't think it'll take us that long to do that, to find out the answer to that question. So I can envision as you presented it, we can maybe be open during certain hours, but after that.
Obviously, October 1, we've had a big disconnect on how to figure out some of these issues with the jail, the transition, what have you. A couple weeks ago, we thought we had some communication that obviously came to an end with no more communication. I mean, with that being said, I think this is something that we need to look into about that possibility. We know other counties that are doing it. I think we really need to look into that as well.
Well, the biggest problem is it's a mandate. It's a mandate that the sheriff's department has the lockup. So if you can shut it down for 12 hours, I'm not sure. That's something that has to be checked into. I don't know as far as the mandate, how far that would cover.
Commissioner Scott?
No, I don't, they'll work it out.
I briefly read the email. I think it came through quite late. It's gonna be 6 weeks for one individual for sure. Pardon me?
Minimum. If you read the remarks and
Okay, I haven't,
yeah,
it came through quite late today.
correct. If you read the remarks, just to clarify, 6 weeks will be when we get an answer to where we go from there. Can't set an actual return date.
No, I hope they're going to be okay. Commissioner Mayhew,
The sheriff's got it.
Commissioner Serbrook. Yeah, I don't have any comment either. You're gonna have to do what you gotta do.
It's a nightmare.
This stuff happens.
Yeah, it's a nightmare trying to get the job done.
Yes. And any job when FMLA unexpectedly happens, it's scrambling,
Right.
let alone two.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Keep us updated
Yes.
on that, please. Whatever information by email. Item 6, Commissioner comments. Please keep these respectful. Commissioner Serbrook,
I don't have anything.
Commissioner Mayhew.
I do. I went to Goodar, Rose Township. And I told them, people there, that we do sympathize with the road deal and we don't want it closed neither. But we don't have the time for every one of them that's gonna come up. And I know everybody said it's not precedent setting that if we back you 100%, but the next people come through, we have to too. And if you've been at Rose Township, Oak and Ogemaw Road, it's nothing but a fight. The people come in, they've threatened to yells at the deal. It's ugly. And that's why we don't, as the county, don't want to support what you guys are doing. As individuals, we do. But as the county, there's lakes, there's towns that are gone, and they all have easements, main streets, right of ways, trails up in the federal ground that they close. I don't like it either. Up on the river, the Sable River, they close them, and all you gotta do is haul in a load of tires and a refrigerator, complain about junk, and the federal go in and close the road down. We don't want that, but I've talked to the township, and they're behind you. In the road commission, I've been to that meeting. But as us, it ain't that we don't feel the need to support you. If we have, just like this deal here, you've been here twice. In the last meeting, we voted not to back you, and you're here. Well, if we got 10 of these roads, we're gonna have every seat in here full. And we're not gonna get our job done. We'll be dealing with the roads. If the county road commission comes in here and asks us for support, then I'm guessing we'll probably end up doing it. But as of now, we don't want to be tied up. Long and the short of it. And that's all I have to say.
Commissioner Scott. No, there'll be public comment. You'll have another opportunity. Commissioner Scott. Any comments?
I've worked with 4 boards, all different. And we agree, we disagree, we get along, we move on. I've disagreed with everybody one time or another, you know. That's it.
Commissioner Wiltie.
Got a couple things to go over. We had a transit meeting this morning. A good, strong meeting. I know Tony has asked for a while now to look at options of a possible administrative assistant. We're looking into some different job descriptions and some options for that. We don't take that very lightly with the fact of, we had to close the Saturday service. We know where our budget stands. So we definitely are looking into options there, but isn't anything we're gonna jump into. The assistant mechanic position will be posted, I believe, tomorrow, Tim?
I think that's what he said, yeah.
Tomorrow. We know that our full-time mechanic for a long time, this year will be retiring, so we want to be proactive on that. And get in someone who can work under him for a good amount of months and really learn the processes out there. I believe I had stated in the past that we got a grant approved for heating and cooling systems out there, which is huge. It's a $70,000 grant. We have 2 new buses and 1 van on the road. In January, our ride numbers were down a little bit. We had 1,777 rides, but we definitely know that we had some pretty severe winter weather in January, just like we have here for the first half of February. They did have a team meeting out there. Safety is a big concern. They're going to have additional team meetings, which we feel is very important. So Tony's doing a good job. The direction of the transit's heading in a good positive direction, and we're happy to see that. We had a housing meeting today. I have told you guys in the past, and again, please help spread the word on this. If you know any builders in the area, you know any developers, anywhere that has ground that could get possibly zoned for residential housing, we have an open house next Wednesday, February 26th at Ogemaw Township. That starts at 5:30. We've got a number of different speakers from throughout the state, from Michigan, a few other different organizations. Discussing the housing needs, obviously not only in our county, but in the entire state. Just finished an EMS meeting before I came here. We have a new ambulance on the road. We had an ambulance, got into an accident the other day. Luckily, no one was hurt too bad. So we have another ambulance that has engine issues. So we're running pretty lean there. But the morale is great out there. Our new director is doing a really strong job. Our new assistant director is really doing a good job. We're working well together, having team meetings. We obviously know the EMS and the importance of that to our county, and I think we're really heading in a good direction there. Tomorrow morning, I have a meeting with EDC for the broadband committee that I told you guys about. This is really important. I think this could be great for our county. We still have a lot of residents in the county that don't have high-speed internet options. So there's a BEAD program through the state right now that's going to be taking applications through middle of April. So we're working hard on that. We have a group. These are EDC members that are starting this committee, and we're going to work hard to try to target the areas in the county, of course, that need high-speed internet. And hopefully we can try to bring every resident in the county the possibility of high-speed internet to their doors. We're going to work hard on that. And then just one more thing, I've said it for the last few weeks. I'll say it again. I know it's probably the last time we talk about it. Extremely disappointed with some of you members here on this commission and in your stance on this Bass Lake Road right away. I know I do have personal feelings towards this, but it's definitely bigger than that. I do listen. I know we're all going to have different feelings on things. I tried to understand what Roger was saying, but a lot of that doesn't make sense to me because again, a lot of these complaints have nothing to do with public and national ground in our county. We are looking at the possibility of us losing access to that ground. So that's our residents, our people coming into our county that are spending money at gas stations, bars, and restaurants in the area to use those right of ways that get into that state and federal ground. So it's way bigger than that. And I think it's very, very disappointing to see the stance that you guys have taken on this. And I am done.
I think it's very poor practice for us to sit up here and say how disappointed we are in someone else's vote. I think that's a very poor reflection on us as a whole, as commissioners and as a group. We are all here to do what we think is best. I agree with Commissioner Mayhew taking that off the agenda. We've talked about it on 2 occasions that I know of, and I believe again was last week when I wasn't present. I do support this personally. I did sign the petition. My view on not taking support as a group, Commissioner, is a liability. Our job is to protect the county. When this was first brought up to us, the road commission was here. The gentleman, Mr. Sheltron, correct?
Yep.
Was here. He did not request a letter of support from us. Am I 100% in support of what you guys are doing? Absolutely. My family has been on this road that you're specifically talking about. I signed the petition. I personally support it 100%. Do I feel like we should support it from a business standpoint? I don't want to open up the county for any type of liability whatsoever at this point. And again, I agree, then we would have to support everything. But I think it's very poor to continuously say how disappointed we are. We're all entitled to our vote. We need to make a decision and we need to move forward with business as we request all of the other departments to do versus continuously. If someone doesn't like the way something goes, this continues to come up and come up and come up. We need to work on that as a whole. Now it is time for public comment. Yes,
May I ask a question?
sure.
Under commissioner comments, I know ordinarily we do our reports at the regular board meetings.
Correct.
And I know Commissioner Wilsey basically is reporting.
Mhm.
Is that, I'm asking if that's appropriate or not, and I'm just trying to figure out.
I don't think that was the entire intent.
Then that's what, and I'm sorry,
You're okay.
and that was my thought too. Because I have been attending meetings and, but I'm used to, the old school where we gave those reports at the regular board meetings and not at committee meetings. So I'm just trying to figure out what's right and what's not right, I guess was.
I think Commissioner Scott, you had requested this to be added to our routine agenda at the committee of the whole, I guess. Do you want to?
We just, We didn't have any place for general comment from commissioners on the agenda, and I just wanted a spot there. We could. Just like the public gets a chance to make a general statement, we can too.
Like the chair did, stating about what
Right.
was going on with this road issue.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
That's-
and I'm
That's
just,
pretty much what it was.
Just so everybody's clear, in public comment, commissioners do not respond. So gives the opportunity, I believe, is why you requested this to be put on there, and in case anybody else wanted to bring a topic to light, it's kind of a roundtable discussion. I don't think our actual committee reports, if I'm not mistaken, you want it on there,
I don't care if whatever comment we got.
Can I make a comment?
go ahead, Commissioner Lindsay.
Well, I guess I can understand what Commissioner Serbrook's asking. I just ask you guys to know, and I think you probably do know, that I'm very involved with a lot of different entities and organizations in this county. And it's nice to be able to give a report each week, because you guys know I can get long-winded. And if you want me to do one report, sometimes I could be sitting here talking for 30 minutes. So I like the fact that I can give a report of what I just did. Like today, I had 3 meetings. These are very important entities. You've got transit, you've got EMS, you have housing. It's nice to be able to give that report live, fresh tonight. But if that's a problem, then I guess I could change that, but I would rather be able to continue to do what I'm doing.
I don't think anybody was stating that it was a problem. It
No,
was just clear, the subject is being cleared versus taking this personal. You had a question, this is what this is for.
and that's why, we were both at transit today. And I sit here and say, I didn't have anything, and then you go into train. So now I feel bad that I didn't mention that. So I'm just trying to.
Make sure we're all on the same page. That's fair.
Exactly. I just, if we're gonna do, reports of like we do with the board, but just what's happened in the last week, that's great. I just want to know what I should or should not be doing, I guess,
I don't think there's a right or wrong,
Okay.
whatever your personal,
On your
right.
whatever your,
that was my question.
Okay.
One comment.
sure.
So with that being said, then, and I really didn't take it personal. I wanted you guys to know that it makes it a lot easier for me, because I do have a lot of things going on with the county. Can we just say then that every meeting we can talk about weekly updates, so then you wouldn't be surprised again by that? Are you guys okay with that?
I'm fine with that. I was just looking for direction, that's all.
Any comment?
Perfect.
That's all I was looking for.
Committee reports will be on the part of public comment. Commissioner comments, public comments. This is item 7. This is where you have the opportunity again to speak. You got to come up, state your name. You're allowed for 3 minutes to talk, and there will be no commissioner comments. So come on up. Yep.
May I say more?
Come on up, sir. Yes, of course, you have 3 minutes.
First of all, please excuse me, I have a serious hearing loss, so only hear a small percentage of what people say.
Mhm.
I did catch some of Mr. Mayhew's comments about road closures. And I don't know whether the board, I'm sure the board rules and governs by the laws of the state of Michigan. And when it comes to roads and road right-of-ways, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to look it up, but the law was established in 1909. And in that law, it provides for how you can do road abandonments. In the situation that we're dealing with, no one has followed the law. No one. Now, Mr. Mayhew said something about road closures in other areas. Maybe on federal land where it's totally governed by the U.S. Forest Service, that may happen. But I don't think, Mr. Mayhew, you can point out a single road in Ogemaw County that has been shut down by 2 private landowners and they got away with it legally. Only thing we're asking for is for this board to follow the law, follow the rules of the state of Michigan, and show their support for the public. I mean, you got here by the vote of the public. Show your respect for those votes. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any other public comment? Come on up.
Yeah, I'm Larry Dunsted. I lived in this county all my life, and I'm not very happy with this support of this commissioners on this at all. You guys should be working for us, the way I feel about it anyways. And this should be no big deal. I don't understand you for not supporting this at all.
I do.
Come on.
I'm not
No,
very happy
Commissioner
with
Mayhew. No,
That's all I got to say.
thank you. Any other public comment? In the room? Any public comment on the phone? Did I miss somebody? Come on up. I'm sorry, sir. You almost missed it.
Sorry,
It's okay.
Steve Yukas. I live out on Indian Trail. I appreciate the fact that you're long-winded because that's why I'm here. I want to get the information from all of you. I appreciate your reports. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Any public comment on the phone? Commissioner Serbrook?
I would make you, do you want to inform the public that
There will be no, there's no, this isn't a business meeting anyways, it's
Oh.
committee of the whole, so.
I make a motion, we go into closed session under MCL 15.268, paragraph C, to consider strategy connected with the negotiation of a collective bargaining agreement.
We have a motion, do we have support?
Support.
Roll call vote?
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Yes.
Jenny David. Yes. Craig Scott.
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
We have a motion to go into closed session. There will be no business afterwards. So.
You don't want no part of this.
One, nothing.
No.
Take that and run. God. I always make sure.
Thanks for the information.
I'm not gonna sign that right now, correct? You come back in this. Motion to come back into session,
Make a motion that we come back in open session.
support. Roll call vote?
Mark Serbrook.
Yes.
Roger Mayhew.
Yep.
Jenny David.
Yes.
Craig Scott.
Yes.
Charles Wiltie.
Yes.
Motion, we are
Motion
back,
to adjourn.
we are back in session. Motion to adjourn,
Motion to adjourn.
support?
Yep.
We are adjourned at 6:52. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Opposed? We are adjourned, guys. Have a good night.
I think tired. I think I'm.